It's Monday, February 27th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. We're going to start off the program with our Principal's Perspective segment, highlighting Barnstable Intermediate School. Then the town has a competitive bond and note sale. We're going to learn what projects it will fund with Treasurer Deborah Blanchette. And finally, we'll find out about some upcoming events at Cape Cod Community College with spokesperson Michael Gross. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. Lifeguard regulations in the town of Barnstable will again take center stage during this week's Board of Health meeting. The Board of Health is reviewing the current trial period of having no lifeguards for hotels with 75 units or less. The Board of Health meets tomorrow, Tuesday, February 28th at 3 in the Town Hall hearing room. The Barnstable School Committee will continue discussions on class rank at Barnstable High School this week. Principal Patrick Clark has suggested doing away with class rank. Clark says class rank is used less and less by colleges and universities and often can be a source of stress for students. Also on the agenda is an update on the FY18 budget and a presentation by the Barnstable Youth Commission. The school committee meets Wednesday, March 1st at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. State Representative Tim Whalen is scheduled to meet with the Barnstable Airport Commission. The meeting will include discussions on some very important things, some things including business development and the Cape Cod Commission, a loss in state funding for airport development, and a loss in state funding for tourism. There will be no public comment taken during the meeting. The Airport Commission workshop will be held Monday, March 6th at 1 p.m. in the airport conference room. The Barnstable Youth Commission is gearing up for its third annual Community Substance Abuse Prevention Forum and 7th Grade Youth Summit. This year's featured speaker is Chris Herron, a basketball legend from Fall River, who lost his career with the Boston Celtics due to substance abuse. The Community Substance Abuse Prevention Forum will be held Thursday, March 16th at 5:30 at the Cape Cod Community College in the Tilden Arts Center. The event is open to the public and free of charge. Up next, our Principal's Perspective segment highlighting Barnstable Intermediate School.
Barnstable Intermediate School. We are the 6th and 7th grade building for all of the Barnstable students in the town. Currently, we have 762 students, split approximately evenly between the 6th and 7th grades. I've been the principal here for 3 years. I was assistant principal for 8 years prior to that. In fact, prior to my time as a staff member, I was a student here before I attended Barnstable High School. As part of our mission statement, we actually really utilize that word bridge because we realize we're a connection between the pure elementary schools into the high school. As they come into 6th grade, they have the two-teacher format on their teams. And one of the teachers on the team teaches science and math to the 2 homerooms. The other teacher teaches social studies and English. In 6th grade, our teachers, really spend time instructing them on the expectations of the building, walking through the hallways, how the cafeteria works is meaningful for a 6th grader coming into the building. In 7th grade, it's a little different. There are 4 teachers that work together with 4 homerooms. There's a math teacher, an English teacher, a science, and a social studies teacher. By the time they're 7th graders, they know the building, there's more comfort and familiarity. 7th grade kids stroll into the caf, yep, I've got this down, not a problem, and I know where my rooms are. And we have expectations for 7th graders. We look for them to model for the 6th grade students. And community starts at home, so when we think of the classroom teacher with her students, it's really that close-knit family. And there's so much direct caring between teacher and student, and they get to know their children so well with a lot of the activities that we put into place. We also have a program that we call Connect to Respect here, where once a week we either have a school-wide assembly or a school-wide lesson. So that sense of community that we're all learning the same thing and we all have the same set of values being shared. It's getting a sense of that we're working together. As students come to our building, the number one fear and question and thing in their head is, will my teacher like me? That's their first question, knowing that that's what the students need. And the amount of caring that our teachers have for the students themselves, beyond the learning that our students need to have, them as a person. To still think that one adult in your classroom is the most significant concern for any student coming into this building tells us how important our roles are. So that combination of really caring for the child and caring about our content area, really makes for some wonderful experiences in the classroom. Every single one of our 7th grade students have a one-to-one iPad, meaning they pick up their iPad in homeroom every morning, they travel with it during the day, and return it to homeroom at the end of their day here. They don't take it home, but it's with them, and it's their piece of equipment to use. Just as you and I come into work every morning, the first thing we do is we check our email and we check our phone messages. That's the expectation in every 7th grade homeroom. We have iPad carts for all of our 6th grade teams as well, so there are lessons built in. By the time you get through 6th grade at this building, you are very comfortable using an iPad. So when starting 7th grade, you're ready to go. We don't need to train these students on iPad use. We use it as a tool now, rather than training them how to. On a daily basis, our 7th grade teachers are able to send out homework papers to the students' iPads so they can do and answer those questions electronically, and then Google Classroom it right back to the teacher. Schools in general are trying to find more and more ways to reach each student at their own level and match the teaching to how the students learn. And the iPad is a tool in that direction. They're learning to be electronic users. That's the big piece behind the iPad. They'll have that tool knowledge so that they can just focus on the curriculum that they need to learn. There's a number of levels to why I do this job. It's an amazing 2 years that we are able to have the students here. That's where you see the benefits. Knowing how they came to you and hoping so much for them that they can grow as a person. That's where the joy comes from. I feel like I've had an impact on these students' lives. Every day, I make a connection with at least one student in this building. I'm not just a voice over the intercom. I'm pretty sure every single kid here would be able to pick me out of a lineup and know that's Mr. Anderson, which is a good feeling. And it's nice to make that day-to-day connection that enhances when you see down the road the positive steps that they've taken.
They look like pretty happy students over there at Barnstable Intermediate School. Well, now we're going to learn about the town's recent bond and note sale with Treasurer Deborah Blanchette. Good news for the town's Treasurer's Department. Joining me now to talk about that in great detail, we have with us Town Treasurer Deborah Blanchette. Thank you so much for joining us. This is something that's kind of tough for me as a non-math person to understand. So hopefully you can break it down for us a little bit better. Every year, the town goes through some bond and note sales. Why is this such an important part of the town's operating budget?
Well, the borrowing covers the capital needs projects that have been submitted to Town Council. It starts early on in the budget process. Various departments submit their capital needs request, and then it goes through a vetting process and a priority process with the Finance Committee and Town Manager. Eventually, these requests are placed on the Town Council's agenda for a vote. And the projects that are authorized to be borrowed, then I compile the projects and send them off to Bond Council, and they review the documents to examine them and send back a requirements letter making sure that we've complied with all of the legal requirements, from advertising the borrowings to the minutes to all kinds of other documents. And then eventually we get to a point where we have the list to cover the projects that need to be done, and an official statement is sent out for the borrowing to go through, and we have a competitive sale.
And now we have a competitive sale, I think, too. We do well in these competitive sales because we here in the town of Barnstable have a AAA bond rating, and that's determined before these bond sales, right?
That's correct. Prior to that, we have a bond rating call, and also prior to that, a lot of information, basically a book of information on all of our finances, all kinds of information about the town, from how many building permits to tax values to all kinds of finances, our audit, practically everything about the town is submitted and reviewed, and then S&P, in our case, which is Standard & Poor's, is a municipal bond rating agency. They review everything and ask lots of questions, and they establish the rating. And AAA is the highest rating attainable. So our bonds are very desirable.
Yeah, because so when companies like who purchased most of the majority of the bonds this year?
This year we had on the general obligation bond, which was $10,690,000. We had 7 bids, and Morgan Stanley was the winning bid at 2.749.
Yeah. So and so that's great. And one of the things that makes it so, makes it a great bet for these businesses to purchase these bonds or notes is because we do have that AAA bond rating, so they know they're going to get their money back.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're a sound investment.
Yeah, exactly. So do other towns do this pretty much on an annual basis like the town of Barnstable does?
No. Some towns do, some cities do. Smaller communities don't have the same needs that we have, being the size of our community and all of the projects that we have going, and, owning 2 golf courses and an airport, and just the size that we are. So we have an awful lot of projects. Not every community does it yearly. Barnstable pretty much has a borrowing every year. And
do you think that that's also because maybe some towns don't have quite as high of a bond rating as the town of Barnstable? And we've had that AAA bond rating for quite a while now.
We achieved the AAA bond rating in 2007, and every time you do a borrowing, that is re-looked at. So we've been able to maintain that basically every year since.
It's a great accomplishment. You must be really proud of your department and all the work they do to continue this.
Yes, I'm proud of the town of Barnstable in general, because our bond rating is based on many factors. It's our general economy, but it's our budgetary performance, it's our financial policies and practices, our liquidity, our budget flexibility. So it takes, a number of people to accomplish this AAA, and the town of Barnstable in general should be proud.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what kind of projects will be funded through this bond sale?
Well, we have 2 school projects, elementary school parking lot, light pole replacement, a ventilator upgrade. We have IT hardware and software upgrade, and several. We have a guardrail and sidewalk, some beach facility improvements, demolition of the Osterville Bay Elementary, Lombard field improvements, private road repairs.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Blish Point, boat access. We cover and a couple of golf. Both Old Barnstable and Hyannis Golf have some improvements and a dredging project. So we have a few enterprise accounts in this borrowing.
Wow. It definitely encompasses a lot of stuff. Thank you for taking the time today to explain how the process works, why it's so important that we have that AAA bond rating, and how that is determined as well. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
And look forward to chatting with you again in the near future. And again, congratulations. What an accomplishment.
Thanks a lot.
All right, talk to you
soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
My guest today, Town Treasurer Deborah Blanchette. So many things are happening at Cape Cod Community College. To learn more, we're going to chat with Communications Director Michael Gross. Michael, what can you tell me? Lots of activity at the college this week.
You know, it really is. This is a time of year where we begin to really sort of crank things up, headed toward the real busy month is in April, in which all of our students, many of whom have projects that they present, things of that sort. But we're beginning to get into that busy time of the spring semester, which is also another opportunity for me to remind people that if they're thinking about showing up here this summer or coming in the fall, it's really time to take a look at all of their application materials, financial aid, etc. So as the spring gets busier for us, it should get busier for you. We have a very important event that's coming onto our campus this Wednesday. And the interesting thing is it's something we very much invite the public to come and join us to do. This is a time of Women's History Month is coming up in the month of March, and this particular event is called White Ribbon Day. It's become a national event across the country. The governor has issued a proclamation. And what happens on this day is we focus on gender-based violence and preventing it. But most importantly, the kind of violence, unfortunately, that men inflict on women. And the white ribbon itself is a symbol that a man, primarily men, but there are women who join too, who take a pledge and say, we will not tolerate this in any way, stretch, or form. You come onto campus, we're going to have 2 locations on Wednesday. One will be in our Grossman Commons right in our cafeteria. The other is in a neat little connector we call between the North Building and the Wilkins Building. This is where students pass through between buildings. It connects the two together. And there'll be a station there in which there'll be huge posters, and you literally will sign the pledge. And by doing so, you make that commitment that says, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to tolerate that kind of violence against women. And it was very, very successful last year. President Cox will lead it on Wednesday. There'll be refreshments in both locations. Generally about 11 to 1 o'clock in the middle of the day is when most of our students and faculty will be able to get to one of those 2 locations. And we really encourage the public to come and join us. The campaign really is not only about preventing individual acts of violence, but fostering really a broader framework that promotes some healthy relationships and positive images of masculinity that show men to be caring, thoughtful, and really protective of everyone's. And part of this is, while we focus on violence against women, it really also migrates out into talking about violence against anything that is gender-based. And in this society, we're compartmentalizing so much that this is a very important event. Wednesday, 11 o'clock to 1. Please come to campus, come enjoy our refreshments, come sign the pledge that you're not going to participate nor tolerate this kind of behavior.
And when you say tolerate, Michael, it really does ring true, I think. Thinking about the students who, this is just really drawing attention to the issue and also making them think about it in ways they may not have in the past. So not just saying you won't commit violence against women, but also that you won't stand for it and that you will speak out if you witness something that isn't really appropriate or shouldn't be happening.
Absolutely true. And I think the taking a stand and taking a position that you are going to be an active participant in the change. And I think here I've seen, every once in a while you'll see a video come up on Facebook or whatever in which someone steps in and goes, no, we're not doing this anymore. Don't stop that. And that's not appropriate. It might be language. You may well be, remember, this doesn't have to be physical. It could well be bullying and well be the kind of terrible, demeaning behavior that we unfortunately see between inflicted on women by men. And by being able to step up and say, hey, I'm sorry, we're done with that. Let's not have any more of it. Stop it. And if you truly see some violence, dial 911. It's as simple as that. Drop the dime, as the saying goes. It is something that cannot be tolerated, and it's pervasive horribly in this society. And this is a day to come to campus on Wednesday, 11 to 1. Be a part of this community's commitment to really stomping it away, breaking that series of violent behaviors that we just don't want to see. Absolutely.
And then, of course, I want to mention something happening this Saturday at the college. This is State Senator Julian Sears' summit. I believe he tried to hold this earlier in the year, but had to cancel due to weather. So
yeah, Mother Nature wasn't very good to him.
Yeah, so that's going to take place this Saturday.
You know, this is one of the functions that the community college performs that I'm not sure the public really appreciates very much, in that we are somewhat centrally located here on Cape Cod, and we provide the venue for many, many important events, both for our politicians and for the community. We're very happily, last week, the Cape Cod 5-cent Savings Bank came to our campus and gave away tens of thousands of dollars to groups in donations that they made through their foundation, and we were very happy to be the venue to host it. This Saturday, Senator Sear is doing the same thing, trying to get a sense of what is going to happen to the Cape, what can happen. They're calling it the Cape Policy Summit, Setting the Agenda. And he wants to talk about what it's like here to try to raise a family, work here, live here, aging here. Well, we all know, unfortunately, that's a reality all around us. Preserving the Cape and serving people here on Cape Cod. The senator will be here. There will be individuals from organizations all over the Cape that will be here to make presentations and to take input. It is in our Tilden Arts Center, the main theater, and it starts at 12:30. We really encourage the public to participate. We're happy to be the venue for Senator Sear, and as you will check as people throughout the year look, this is one of the reasons we exist in this region. The community colleges around Massachusetts were set in local regions to serve their local populations. While we're state supported, we're really locally focused, and this is a perfect example of it. Saturday, 12:30. Please come to the Tilden Arts Center and be part of those who help Senator Sear understand the kind of legislation, the direction and regulations that should be happening in Boston that really affect us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And of course, as always, look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Thanks so much.
Talk to you
soon.
Bye-bye
now.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, of course, Communications Director for Cape Cod Community College, Michael Gross. Now let's find out what's happening in today's community calendar. Paintings by artist Leslie Altman are on display at Barnstable Town Hall now through the end of March. The display is part of the town's Art on Loan program, which displays the work of local artists on the meeting room walls in Barnstable Town Hall. Works for this exhibit include original paintings and some prints. Artwork is displayed in the Selectmen's Conference Room and the Town Hall Hearing Room. Both are located on the second floor in Barnstable Town Hall, and of course that's through March 31st. Well, spring is just around the corner, and that means so is baseball season. It's time to sign up your players for Barnstable Little League. Parents can easily sign up kids online by visiting barnstablelittleleague.com. Walk-in registration will be held March 4th from 10 a.m. to noon at the Hyannis Elks Lodge on Burses Way. Now let's take a look at this week's board, committee, and commission schedule. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show. Tomorrow we will chat with Chief of Police Paul McDonald, we'll chat with DPW Director Dan Santos, and we'll hear from Energy Coordinator Richard Elrick. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.